It's always awkward when I start for like at least 2 minutes, so yeah, let's chill. Okay, let's get this round. As people come in, ask me your VA disability questions. I'll be right back. Ask me your VA disability questions. I'm back. Brody, how's it going? Welcome. I'll show you in a second. That's what I'm about to do. Trying to answer some VA questions as they come. It always starts really slow. It's also my 3rd day doing this in a row, so we'll see. Champ VA, solid. Champ VA is health insurance for the veteran's family. Not for you. Veterans, we get VA health care, not insurance. How do you qualify for it? You gotta hit that 100% P&T mark, right? Whether that's TDIU P&T or IU P&T or scheduler P&T, which is 100% permanent and total. So Champ VA is for your family, right? It's comparable to TRICARE or other health insurance plans. There are various tiers you can get, like a $3,000 deductible, stuff like that. In addition to Champ VA, sorry, I'm gonna eat, I'm hungry. There are VA dental programs and then vision programs that you can enroll your family in. Copious Cat, what's up? Hi Clay, hello. I didn't get to finish watching your live to know if you answered my question. Throw it in the chat. Throw it in the chat now and I'll answer it here soon before I'm flooded with questions. What is DCF and what do they do? I don't know what DCF is. I don't know, conkatonk. So if I were 100%, then what's the cost for this for me if I want it for my family? You can look up specific costs, and there's different tiers of Chant VA, right? You can Google Chant VA. There is Chant VA benefits, okay? You can just look at that and figure out if it's right for you. So the thing about Chant VA is this is health insurance, okay? There's no cookie cutter answer for health insurance. You may not want Chant VA. You might want Chant VA. I can tell you my family doesn't have it. We use my wife's insurance from her employment because it fits our situation better. So there's really no cookie cutter answer. It would be wrong of me to tell you absolutely go for it because you have to make that decision for yourself. All right, Copious Cat says, I'm 100% P&T, but they denied a ton of claims for other diagnosed issues. Should I HLR or appeal, or just don't poke the bear? One, you're P&T, okay? I hate the phrase poking the bear. I think it's stupid, okay? If there's I can go on a rant on that. I won't. But you're 100% P&T. I assume you just got it, right? If those disabilities would open the road up to special monthly compensations or other benefits, right? Like a car grant or home improvement, whatever your situation is, which isn't that, it's not that common, but if that is you, that might be something you'd want to consider. But hey, you're 100% P&T, you're good, dude, okay? Generally speaking, you wouldn't want to do anything. James Bond, if I'm already 100% disabled, service connected, medically retired through IDES program, basically med board, how do I apply for P&T? You don't apply for P&T, okay? I assume you went through a med board already, and you're 100%. You have a 100% rating. I do find it weird that you were med boarded and are 100% P&T, but not, or 100% but not P&T. Just clarify that. Did you already go through a med board, and do you have a 100% rating right now? Oh. I have no idea, Brody. Orgasm. That's someone's name. So the VA dated one dependent to the PACT Act, but the second dependent to when I sent in the birth certificate. How can I get backdated to my initial claim? You can do a higher so a dependent claim is just like every other claim, okay? You can argue the effective date if it applies. But it's just treat it like every other claim, right? So the intent to file and all that good stuff. Oh, I have no idea, bro. I have zero idea. Mood Tanger. If I had cancer in service, I assume you mean is it presumed to be service connected? Do we have to prove it somehow when submitting my BDD claim? If you're going through a BDD, don't worry about all that jargon, okay? Do not worry about all that stuff at all. All you need to do is submit your claims. That's it. BDDs, all the mumbo jumbo you hear on YouTube, myself included, doesn't really apply to BDD claims. All you need to do is the 4 steps. You'll find those 4 steps on CivDivOnline.com, but you basically just create a list of everything you got wrong with you and submit the claims. All right, Wappy Tan, thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. Wappy Shin. Hey Clay, is there any reason to submit the CVs of the doctors with my claim who did my PTSD diagnosis, DBQ, and Nexus letter? I sent the CVs by the med company. I think you are way overthinking it, okay? Way overthinking it. I'm going to assume you went through a claims consulting company just by how you worded that. And then they referred you to a private opinion provider or DBQ provider. If that's the case, no, you don't have to send the CVs of your provider who did your medical opinion. Deny, Bill Nye, Science Guy. Do I need VA medical evidence or private doctor evidence? Doesn't matter. You need evidence from service. Then you need current evidence. There's a time factor there. But that current evidence can be from the VA. It can be from private. It doesn't matter. Okay, medical evidence is medical evidence. That's about it. You're going to need a current diagnosis. All right, or at a minimum, a documented symptoms that would lead the VA to give you a diagnosis for VA rating purposes. All right, James Bond. So you were med boarded at 100%, but you're not P&T. I wouldn't say it's normal, especially now. I would really double check your P&T status. Okay, you said I also had a follow-up. I guess it's the 5-year CMP exam. I call it. It depends what your disabilities are. Everyone's situation is different. Okay. Generally speaking, med boards at 100% are out the gate P&T for obvious reasons. If you're not, don't sweat it. No big deal. Keep complaining. What I would recommend you do is actually go to your regional office and try to get your rating code sheet. You can see which disabilities are and are not static. And the ones that are not static, I would highly recommend you continue to gather evidence for those to show cause that the condition is not improving. Biggs MP Biggs says, what's P&T? P&T is permanent and total, okay? It's how the VA determines a veteran's the veteran's conditions that are not likely to improve over the span of the veteran's life, i.e. static conditions, total up to 100%. It's actually not 95. So if your static conditions reach that 100% mark, the veteran will be awarded permanent and total disability from the VA. We say disability, it's really compensation. So someone who is 100% P&T isn't disabled, okay? There are 100% P&Ters that are disabled, right? But there's no income limitations. There's no physical limitations when veterans are 100% P&T. It just means that you got a lot of stuff going on and you're just dealing with it, okay? So you can still go to the gym, assuming that you're capable, okay? All that stuff. My wife texted me, give me a second. Okay. Gavin says, what's up? What's up, big dog? Mills says, I'm 50% connected for PTSD, 10 for hypertension, 0 for GERD, Gulf War vet intent to file for increase, and all those stuff. Denied for sleep apnea, claiming now for tinnitus, STR for headaches. And constipation underpacked. Believer I can claim IBS and insomnia. Okay, Mills, there's so much going on there, and there's really no clear question, but I'll try to infer. One, you're filing an increase for PTSD. You want to make sure that you're hitting that 70% mark. I have a video on 70% mental health symptoms. You're going to want to check that out, okay? 2, GERD isn't PACT Act related. You're already service connected for GERD, so same thing. Look at the symptoms for GERD. Your increase is already in. The VA is going to do this anyways. Your hypertension is probably not going to be increased at all. Denied for sleep apnea, very, very common. It's a difficult claim, regardless of what YouTube tells you. You have a claim in now for tinnitus, that's fine. IBS can be presumptive under the PACT Act, yes. All right, Gavin says, listen to this. I claimed headaches secondary to a jaw condition, denied. I supplemented with Nexus letter. CMP doc says I'll justify it with Terra. That's fine. No big deal. Okay. Migraines can be presumptive, not under the PACT Act. It could be presumptive, right, to toxic exposures. I actually know one of my good friends has migraines presumptive, so pretty solid. Daphne Fraser says, I was stationed on NALF, San Clemente Island, mid-90s. There are now 3 of us women who have developed breast cancer, and these ones, could it be connected? I don't know about that specifically, but I'll tell you this. If you have a condition and you have evidence indicating that it came from service, submit the claim, okay? Now, I'm not aware of any San Clemente presumptions for breast cancer specifically, okay? But if you can prove it, go for it. All right, give me a second. Okay. Vernon says, I have a claim for Q. Clear, unmistakable error that the VA missed, giving me 10% rating for 2 non-compensable service-connected disabilities. I sent all evidence of what the adjudicator missed, how likely I might have won. I'd have to look at your evidence, okay? There's a ton of information there. I can tell you that Qs are extremely rare. Extremely rare, okay? Whatever scale of extreme you have at the very, very top, that's where winning a Q lies at, okay? Highly recommend getting representation, right? Especially if you firmly believe that you have a case for your Q, because you're arguing with the VA at that point. Yeah, I haven't ate all day, so I'm totally gonna eat on the stream. It don't bother me. Hope it doesn't bother you. I got Chick-fil-A, the Lord's chicken. Okay. Michael Anastasio, is there a CMP exam for aid and attendance? Got 100% P&T housebound for about 3 years now. Yes and no. Okay. If you rate the here, I'll give you a blanket answer. If you rate aid and attendance, submit for it. Generally, it will be given. Is mood disorders same as mental health? Yep. For VA rating purposes. All right, Michael says, and what is the likelihood of them reducing if I've been seeing my doctor every 2-3 months for 5 years straight now for PTSD? I mean, how long have you been rated for it? Is it static? What does that look like for you? Does your evidence indicate your condition's getting better? And there's 100 questions over there. For some reason, there's a lot of questions on reductions, and this is what I'm just gonna talk smack on YouTube. This is what's stupid about YouTube, okay? Is there's these annual trends. You can almost mark it on the calendar what's gonna happen, and YouTubers will just talk about the same things, and then it just brings up conversations like reductions, okay? If you're P&T, that answer is no. I want everyone to understand what I'm saying. If you're P&T, the VA is not going to take your rating away. Can they technically do it? Yes. Does that make for a good thumbnail and title? Absolutely. Is it going to happen? No. That's about all I got to say about that. All right, Mel says, forgot 8 checks of anemia, IBS. Okay. Daph says, I'm being treated by the VA and my claim for breast cancer being associated with my service was denied. Why was it denied? Okay. If you join our Facebook group, which is in the description, okay, you can hit the 3 dots, should be up there somewhere. Join the Facebook group, and then you'll have the option to post your decision letter anonymously, redacted, so that way we can actually see why that was denied. Jay Isbell says, I had an eye injury while active, no problem with eye, would expect 0% rate. Should I just file for service connection? Yeah, absolutely, okay? Now, with the eyes are the weird, our eyes actually do heal, okay, depending on the condition. Unlike, you know, a joint, like your knees or your elbows or something like that. So, I say that because, do you have a current diagnosis? Right? It'd be the equivalent of, I fell and scraped my elbow, but there's no diagnosis there. It's healed. No claim. No diagnosis, no claim. So if you have a current diagnosis, absolutely. Jose Villa says, I have my mental CMP exam on February 28th. What should I expect? Thank you so much for all your help. Your videos help me so much. Thank you. What should you expect for mental health? I have a video on this, okay? If you go to the website, TheCivDivOnline.com, look at mental health VA disability, you'll see the mental health CMP exam. I'll give you a synopsis version of it real quick. There's 3 kind of categories. It'll go pre-service, during service, post-service. They'll ask you questions about pre-service, right? Did your dad beat you? Were you abused? Whatever that looks like. Were you diagnosed with mental health in your childhood before your military service? Then during service, this should be the bulk of the conversation, right? Where did that condition manifest? What was your evidence like? And then post-service, how has that condition affected your life? What are your current symptoms? And that's how the mental health CMP exam will go. They can last anywhere from 30 minutes to like 2 hours. The Asiatic says, what does it mean when a higher level review detected an error? Like a duty to assist error? It just means the HLR is now closed. And now that claim is technically a supplemental claim, and it's going to be processed for further development, right? So maybe a new CMP exam, whatever. Or there was some evidence, there was some relevant evidence left out, and so now they have to send that relevant evidence to a CMP examiner to have another exam. That's one example. Texas RT says, I have diagnosed hypertension, but primary care won't write me a diagnosis for VA. That doesn't make any sense. Who do I need to use to get a diagnosis? And do I apply for secondary to my 7% PTSD, or can it be standalone? So you either have a diagnosis or you don't, okay? 1. There is no writing a diagnosis for the VA. It's either you got it or you don't. If you don't have a formal diagnosis, then your chart or your record should show a pattern of high blood pressure, right? Of your top number, bottom number being elevated. If you're on medication for it, obviously that's pretty solid, okay? Now, as far as filing a claim direct or secondary, and this goes for any claim, comes down to one thing. What's your evidence? Do you have evidence from service of hypertension? If that answers I have absolutely 0, then it would be secondary. Or you would try to link it secondary, right? So it's not a one-all, it's not an end-all be-all. People that have PTSD, every single one of them doesn't have hypertension. It's not a one-size-fits-all, okay? So the question is, does your PTSD cause your hypertension? And what is your evidence to show that? Jose Villa says, secondary to my left arm ulnar nerve surgery, as well as neuropathy in my both right arm. Okay. All right, hold on. Wappy's Hand, thank you for being a member, and thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Wappy's Hand says, I'm 0% service connected for residuals, left shoulder, status, post, clavicle, communicated fracture, which is like your collarbone right here. okay? Granted in 07 under that diagnostic code, the broken clavicle has healed improperly, in my opinion, and warrants a higher rating. I want to break that last sentence down real quick, okay? Has it healed properly? Has it healed improperly, in your opinion? Or objectively, has it healed improperly? Okay, that's two different things. I think what you're saying is it did heal improperly. If that's the case, I would submit for an increase. We understand how the shoulders are rated. I have a video on how the shoulders are rated. You can look at that if you want. But based on what you say here, it's looking at the bones. You had surgery, okay? It's looking at the bones, what that looks like. So yeah, submit the increase, dude. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, and then Wapitan also says, would this be submitted as secondary for, no, it would just be the increase. It'd be the increase, okay? I would also look at nerve damage in your arm. Look at nerves, like radiculopathy in your arms, absolutely. Look at your neck, whatever that looks like. Elbows, forearms, I would look at the entire arm. Jose Hernandez says, I love you, bro. I love you too. Danny Strike, hey, I have 90% rating and it's hard for me to do the job I trained for. Is there a program to help you train in a new field? There absolutely is, and it's called VeteranAI. It has many, many names, okay? VeteranAI is fine. It's super easy to apply for. The whole process would take you like 10 minutes. Go on va.gov, log in, look up VeteranAI. VeteranAI. Now, you do have to prove that your disabilities is causing troubles in your work life, and therefore you need to, your disabilities are preventing you from work with your current skill level. There was probably a better way to say that, but with your current skills and your disabilities, what does that relationship look like? Do you need to be retrained? And yes, you can use VeteranAI. It's the same exact payout as like a GI Bill. You get housing, tuition, stuff like that. Does VeteranAI also apply if you have a business? It depends. Like, are your disabilities and current skills preventing you from running that business effectively? If the answer is yes, go for it. It might be a difficult argument, but Lynn, thank you. I think Lynn's been here all 3 days. I appreciate that, Lynn. Mackenzie's Farm. What's my favorite food? Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A. Okay. Elizabeth says, hey, hope you have a good day or having a good day already. I am actually. Had a private lesson and something I enjoy doing on the side. It's a good day. B. Morris said, y'all made me hungry. Yeah, sorry. Pickle. Okay. Mike Fatone says 100 PNT. If I get married, will my future spouse and her son become dependents and receive benefits? You're 100% PNT. If you get married, will your future spouse and son become dependents and receive benefits? They won't receive benefits, but you will. You can get dependency, right? So you can claim your wife and your children. You are PNT, so there are benefits you could pursue. It doesn't automatically happen. It's like VA would be one. There are some others. DEA, Dependent Education Assistance, Chapter 35, I believe. That would be one. That's my personal favorite, right? I think that's the best benefit. Of all the benefits that veterans get, okay, at the PNT mark, Chapter 35, Dependent Education Assistance is hands down the best. It's better than tapping proxy exemptions. It's better than getting that check every month. It's the absolute best benefit. Obviously, that's my opinion. DNB says, "Hi all, I love Chick-fil-A." Hey, they should be, you know, paying me money for saying that stuff, right? Okay. So Black McBain says they can reduce your mental health rating if you haven't used their services recently. There's some truth to it. It's objectively not true. There is some truth to that. Okay. So first off, mental health, especially for new veterans leaving service, it's likely to be reevaluated first. Okay, and there's a 38 CFR code for that. I forgot what it is. 2. Just because you use VA healthcare doesn't mean that they are or are not going to reduce you. If you use VA healthcare and you walk in one day and you're like, you know what? I'm healed by the grace of God. I have 0 depression, 0 PTSD, 0 anxiety, whatever that looks like for you. Yeah, you should expect a reduction, right? In the same breath, if you are seeking healthcare through the VA and your symptoms get worse, you can use that as evidence for the increase. Another scenario, if you're not using VA healthcare and you're going to private insurance, the VA doesn't have access to private insurance, okay? Now, in the event a reduction comes down the pipeline, I would recommend you use your records from the private side of the house to combat the reason for reduction, but yeah. Coming for the meats. 100% P&T, not homebound, but need assistance throughout the day with meds, hygiene. Does the VA offer? So there's caregiver programs, okay? I would absolutely look into that. But yeah, if you require assistance, like to put your pants on, to brush your teeth, go to the grocery store, whatever that looks like for you, absolutely look into a caregiver program, right? If you have a spouse, that would be pretty solid. Like if your spouse is your caregiver. I forgot to turn off. Okay. Tyler August says, "Appreciate you doing this. I appreciate you coming." There's no live. If there's no questions, there's no live. My question is about CRSC. Okay. If you're on, I'm sorry, I can't answer the phone call right now. Injured in combat, an Afghan, and medically retired after 5 years active. Recently increased from 90 to 100. Will CRSC payment change? You were increased. So what CRSC does is it in a Barney style way, it allows you to double dip. Okay. So first of all, when you medically retired, how many years did you have in? What does that look like for you? Obviously, you rate CRSC. I assume you're getting it right now. I would just contact DFAST. Let me look at this text real quick. Alvaro up north. I have GERD diagnosed in my military treatment records. I also have secondary sleep apnea. Ain't on a CPAP. I have a Nexus, but should I send VA board, case law? You can if you want. It doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. You want to file sleep apnea secondary to GERD. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a difficult claim, right? I understand people will say the opposite, which is fine. It's a difficult claim. Sleep apnea secondary to anything is a difficult claim because it looks at correlation, not causation. Mojika says, "I just have to say I'm thankful that you stress so much that you can do this on yourself." That's what I'm saying. Thank you. I got out with 80%, and after a couple years of research and attending appointments, I'm now 100% P&T. Evidence is king. Thank you very much, and congrats to you. Black McBain says, "I once chewed a stripped screw to get it out of a jet. It broke my tooth. I bet that sucked. I got that sucker out, but you got that sucker out. My senior told me to do it. I was told to tell the doc and dental I got hit in a bar fight. Oh well. It doesn't matter where your condition came from. If you're active duty, you're active duty, right? Now, unless it was negligible, okay, the bar fight might be negligible, right? Like you doing something stupid. Sylvia says, I was recently misdiagnosed. I was originally diagnosed with dermatitis, 10%, but I knew something was wrong, and the doctor finally found out I have lymphoma. They didn't adjust the rating. They're not going to. Right, the VA is not automatically going to do anything except for reduce, which is weird. But, yeah, man, or ma'am, you can absolutely file for an increase. You can just file a new claim, whatever that looks like. Plexicast. I have 7 to 8 back doc visits from active duty and therapy in 2012. I also have a VA primary care complaints about my back. I have not filed yet. Do I need a recent diagnosis? With that evidence right there, I would file the claim. Okay. I would also add, if you get, if your legs tingle or if they fall asleep, they feel like 1,000 needles are in there. Okay. I would look at radiculopathy as well and claim it all in one go. Hugh J. Beats says urgent care is great for diagnosis. It absolutely is. Okay. It absolutely is. Sylvia, should you get a lawyer? No, don't get a lawyer. Just file the claim. You're good. Kaylee says, God blessings, hope, injury, knee healing, and body strength. Sure. Halbert says, CMP Saturday for an increased shoulder, currently at 20% for recurrent dislocations, and I'm rated at 10 for a labral tear. Since then, I've had a shoulder surgery that is failing. What should I expect for an increase? 20% is a pretty solid rating for shoulders. I have an entire video on how the shoulder is rated. You want to check that out. It's on CivDivOnline.com. Look at shoulder disabilities. You'll find it. 20% is solid. Now, you did have a surgery. I would also look at secondaries, right? Is there any nerve damage from there? What does that look like? There's no way I could guess your increase without seeing your evidence. Quinn Candy says, hi everyone. Hi. My GI Bill expired in 21. I'm 100% disabled veteran. Are there any alternative funding options for furthering my education? I only have a few community college courses. I mean, there's VR and E. I don't know if that would apply if your GI Bill expired, if you left service before, I think it's January of 2011. Fact check me on that date, okay? Depends when you left service. All right. P-Saul K says, can you claim secondary to a secondary? Yes. Once a secondary condition is service connected, it is a service connected condition. You can claim 100 secondaries to each other. Sapper Undead says, can I increase the percentage for my disability from hearing loss? They gave me 0%, but they put it down as service connected, but I have 0%. Can that be increased? It can be increased, okay? I want you to know that the most common rating for hearing loss is 0%. So, food for thought. Can I increase the percentage for my disability from hearing loss? They gave me 0%. Oh, I'm sorry. I just read that one. Danny Strike, thank you. You're welcome. Chiefs Kingdom says hi. Go Chiefs. I'm not a Chief fan at all, but live life. The MRI on my lower back shows pinched nerve, bulging disc, etc. How do I prove radiculopathy? You just said it, right? I assume that pinched nerve is your sciatic nerve, and if your back, if your lower spine is service connected, there you go. All right, My Temper just recently submitted a supplemental claim yesterday, and it hasn't shown up in my claims or appeals. Anyone experienced this before? Give it a few days. Give it a few days. The VA will notify you. Okay. Relax. Breathe a little bit. JP says, I'm at 93% with 70 for mental. Submitted increase on bilateral legs and bilateral hips. What are changes of hips, legs, and hips increase? Man, there's no, without looking at your evidence, there's no way I can give you any sort of answer to that whatsoever. Okay, I don't know what your evidence is. How can I answer that? What I would recommend, JP, is you just look at how legs, depending on what you're talking about with your legs or your hips, look at how it's rated, okay? And if your symptoms meet that criteria, make sure you express that to the C&P examiner. I'm 31 years old. All right, Slicerhead, the VA stated my ED did not affect my ability to work. I have service treatment records diagnosing me with ED, have a current diagnosis and taking meds. This is Q, claim was over 20 years. I assume you're talking about erectile dysfunction, okay? It's just a really weird disability to compare to your ability to work. That's why I'm really confused. When it comes to a Q, I highly recommend getting a lawyer, right? And an accredited attorney, you're going to be arguing with the VA. Qs are extremely rare. Extremely rare. Chris Wells says, if a veteran has documented muscle and joint pain since 2000, after serving in the Gulf Theater, can a Nexus letter be created to cover PACT Act, other No. Muscle and joint pain. I would never, ever recommend a Nexus letter for anything that's covered as a presumptive condition, okay? If you have a condition and it's presumptive under the PACT Act, submit the claim. That's it. Do not overcomplicate the process. Danny Strike says, what would be an example of proof that I need for VeteranAI, and what did you say was the best benefit? I missed it, sorry. In my opinion, the best benefit is Dependent Education Assistance, which is Chapter 35, or DEA. It's a stipend for your dependents when they go to school, right? So I have 4 kids. All 4 of my kids will be able to get a stipend every month they're in school. It's a solid benefit. Now, to answer your question about proving VeteranAI, once you apply for the benefit, which is super easy, you can do it in about 5-10 minutes on va.gov, you will be assigned a counselor, right? Or I guess a counselor is not really the right, whatever word they use for this person. It'll be an appointment. That person will ask you, how are your disabilities, right, affecting your work, and what is it that you want to do? It's much more than that, but that's like the baseline. And you just let them know, saying, hey, I got a 100% rating for PTSD, and I need a sheltered work environment. I need to work from home. I need to do whatever, okay? What it looks like for you. All right, James McDaniel, thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. Let me make sure I didn't miss any other member chats. Okay. James says, what if you had a lot of service-connected conditions not claimed that caused or aggravated another condition that you're claiming? It doesn't matter. It does matter in a bad way. That's competing evidence, right? So for instance, let's use sleep apnea and obesity. I love this one because it really triggers people, but whatever. I don't even care anymore. So let's say that you're fat, you have obesity, okay? Let's also say that your service-connected disabilities is causing you to be fat, right? So yes, it's a lack of diet and a lack of exercise, but your severe knee conditions and your severe back conditions and your severe shoulder conditions prevent you from exercise, thus over time making you fat, okay? but you're not service connected for obesity, or it's not recognized by the VA. If you claim sleep apnea, okay, and you have zero evidence that your disabilities are indicating or your obesity can't stem from your chronic pain, the VA is going to use that against you, right? So that would be bad. So if you have a condition and it can be service connected, claim it. Okay. Sergeant G55 says, had back issues, never went to sick call to complain. Started complaining about the back pain a few months after discharge, and I've been complaining ever since. Should I file a claim? Yes, you should. That's almost exactly what I did, actually. That's a very, very similar situation to mine. I had zero evidence. I submitted my back after the fact. It was connected. I had zero medical evidence. Lavelle says, I'm 3 months from submitting my BDD claim, awaiting my sleep study results. If diagnosed with sleep apnea, will I have time to claim sleep apnea under the old rating criteria? Sure. Okay. About these changes for tinnitus and sleep apnea and mental health, here's the one shot over the world, okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? What matters is your job is to submit an evidence-based claim. How the VA is going to rate something is how the VA is going to rate something. Then you have zero control over that, okay? Your job is to submit an evidence-based claim. To answer your question, it's yes, okay? But it's irrelevant. All right, Michael Burrows says, hiya, what's up? New York Coasty says, bro, went to VA for scapular pain and exactly what I wrote in my claim. I walked into my exam. First thing the examiner asked me was, are you claiming your neck? And I said, it's my scapular. Turned out it was neck related, but now I can't make claim. What can you do? So first off, how the VA rates things is different, right? They're not really rating a diagnosis. There's these 30 CFR has diagnostic codes, and there's general ratings and all of that stuff, okay? Now, I don't understand how you say you can't make a claim. You already claimed it. You already had your CMP exam. I want to know if you were denied, if you're waiting on that decision, what does that look like? Evelyn, I like that name. I tried to name both my daughters, or all three of my daughters Evelyn, and it was turned down every time. So, anyways. At what point is a rating no longer risk for reduction? P&T, okay, and that disability becomes static. There you go. The technical answer is the 20-year mark, but if you're P&T, you're fine. Michael says, my wife got approved for Chant VA. Does that cover dental? It does not. There is the VA DIP, VA Dental Insurance Plan or Program. Just do some Googling. No, it's like an add-on, right? Same thing with like vision and dental for most plans or add-ons. Can you see my name? It's my birthday. No. Dan Castro, serving in Europe when President Johnson had us declared surplus so we could be sent to Vietnam as non-war and told on vacation when wounded and sent to Japan. TFG did the same and VA corrected, but I don't even know what you're saying. Adam the Saint says, are there big differences between active duty and National Guard benefits? No. VA benefits are VA benefits. It don't matter if you served 1 day or 20 years in the Air Guard, in the Coastie, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a new member. Thank you very much, Matt Richardson. I appreciate it. Okay. Members don't really get anything. If I see your chat, I'll definitely read it. I am going to be making a video here soon on my personal disabilities and the evidence I used, and that'll be available for members. But okay, Chris Kuhninen, can you explain why submitting a BDD is important versus waiting until separation. I hear many SMs saying they wait until after they separate to file their first claim. Yeah, whoever's telling you to wait, whoever's telling you not to do a BDD claim, what you should do, it's what I recommend, is you take that advice, you ball it up in a little ball, and you throw it away, and then whoever told you that, you just call them stupid, and you never talk to them ever again, okay? Here's why. BDD claims are magic. It is the only magic wand in the VA benefits world, okay? As long as you have a current diagnosis and there isn't any competing evidence, it's going to be service connected. It's easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Competing evidence, right? The most common is going to be flat feet. So if you had acute flat feet before you joined the service and you went through your military service and now you're claiming flat feet, if there's no evidence of that flat feet becoming chronic, right, and then you're not diagnosed with chronic flat feet, it's going to be denied. But outside of those little scenarios, BDD claims are the way to go, 100%. We have another member. Thank you very much, Live Life. I love you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. How soon is too soon to file for PTSD? You don't really file for PNT. You don't really file for PNT. You can request it, okay? That's a unique process in its own through your regional office. But you don't really file for PNT. You just file for disability. Depending on your symptoms and your evidence, you'll be rated as such. Logic 1611, can you explain to us specifically the successful way to file sleep apnea secondary? I will, and this is going to be my opinion. I currently have sleep study from the VA and have been issued CPAP. Okay. Oh, come on, Mia. Come on, big dog. Bam! Okay. Anyways, sleep apnea, secondary, extremely difficult. I know YouTube will tell you otherwise. It is extremely difficult. Matt, I see you. I will go back to that, okay? The reason it's difficult is because there's no causation. There is no causation. None. Can sleep apnea be service-connected secondary to mental health? Absolutely. Does mental health cause sleep apnea? The answer is no. The answer is no, it does not, okay? And that is conceded by the medical community, not some dude in his basement, all right? And that's fact. Now, knowing that, we have to look at correlation, okay? So if everything is pointing this direction, it probably came from that way, right? I'll explain. So some major correlating factors for sleep apnea. 1, breathing in heavy particulates. So like burn pits, bad pollution, stuff like that. Breathing that in can obstruct, right, your airway, cause stress in the body, boom, sleep apnea, correlation, right? That's 1. Mental health, and specifically on the PTSD and anxiety side of the house. Stress on the body, you know, if the inside of your body's stressed out, it's tightened up. So although you're sleeping, your body is tense. It's obstructing the airway, obstructive sleep apnea. Boom, correlation. So if you have both of those, that's 2 correlations, solid, right? Weight gain. If you're fat, obviously your airway is going to be obstructed. That's another correlation. Now you're going to need to get obesity to be recognized by the VA, stemming from your service-connected disability. So that's the challenge in itself. Another one would be like medication, right? Like gabapentin. So if you have all 4 of those, then I would say it is like, there are more, okay? But these are the most common. If you have all 4 of those, then yes, then I would say it's likely that your sleep apnea claim will be approved. If you don't, and especially if you're just fat because you're fat and it can't be service connected, it's likely going to be denied, okay? And that's the truth. Hope that answered your question. People really get mad when I talk about sleep apnea, and I don't understand why, but whatever. Okay, Matt Richardson, thank you for being a member. He says, denied service connection for mental health. Examiner lied, said I had childhood abuse and bullying. No truth to that at all. Appealing with Nexus from doc. Should I report her? You can if you want. Absolutely. I don't know the details of that exam, right? But if you felt like something was weird there, you can absolutely do a statement and send it to the VA. And I would also go through the company as well. So if it was like VES, I would contact corporate VES and then send the complaint in both of those directions if you wanted to do that for sure. I'm curious as to the evidence of your pre-service. That's really what it's getting at. I want to know the evidence of your pre-service mental health that led the examiner to say that. Okay. Samuel Moore says, why doesn't VA consider dental as a health issue? They do. I'm 80% and I can't use dental unless I'm treated at 100%. So they do, but that's just looking at VA benefits, right? So if you are 100% P&T, you have the ability to get, the veteran, have the ability to get dental care. If you're P&T and Chant, I didn't skip you. If you're P&T and use Chant VA, your family has the option to get VA DIP, which is dental insurance, right? If you are not P&T and you are service connected for a dental condition, then you have the option to get dental benefits through the VA. If you don't meet those criteria, then you don't. So they do, it just depends. Okay, Sergeant G55 says, I have a diagnosis, bulging disc in L4, L5, but didn't get it until 7 years later. I also suffer from radiculopathy. Yeah, so if you have evidence from service, and I think Sergeant G55, you had made a comment about how you had evidence from 2012. I think that was you. If you have evidence from service and you have a current diagnosis, 1,000,000,000% submit that claim. Venture267 says, what branch are you in? I'm not in any branch, right? I was in the Marine Corps. I'm currently a civilian for the Army. Biggs MP says, I'm 80% now. Worried about a reduction after watching this live. What trigger a reduction? Oh my goodness. Okay. This reduction topic just is so stupid. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because it makes for a good thumbnail and good clickbait. That's a fact, it does. And everyone talks about it like it's the end of the world. One, if you're P&T, not gonna happen, okay? Unless there's fraud or the VA made a mistake. If the VA made a mistake, it would be like weeks, and then they would correct it. If you're P&T, don't sweat it. If you're not P&T, you need to look at your conditions, which are considered static, right? If they're all static, don't worry about it. If that condition is not static, and the most common one that I see that is not static is service members that leave the military that are new veterans, have a mental health rating. There's going to be a reevaluation in there at some point, okay? But the technical answer is 20 years. You had the disability for 20 years, you're safe. That's not, okay. Jacob Stamps, being med-boarded tomorrow is my CMP exam for PTSD. Oh, being med-boarded tomorrow is my CMP exam for PTSD. Kind of nervous for my appointment. Yeah, man, go to CivDivOnline.com, okay? CivDivOnline.com. Go to the mental health via disability section. There's a whole video on mental health CMP exams. I'll give you a synopsis version of it now, but go check it out because it's more in depth. It's pre-service, during service, post-service, right? In your case, post-service doesn't exist, so it'll only be pre and during. And so you will just talk about your evidence. You know, talk about your evidence, talk about your symptoms, that's about it. Samuel says, VA has put in my record I have chronic PTSD, and I submitted a claim. Have CMP exam, 13 Bravo, U.S. Army, OEF 4. I have 2 buddy letters, spouse letter, and mine. Anything missing? You have a current diagnosis. You have buddy letters, which is good. You have a deployment. I assume your PTSD stressor comes from that deployment because you referenced it. If that's the case, you're good, dude. Don't worry about it. Lynn said, okay, thank you, Lynn. Appreciate that. Samuel with the PTSD says due to combat. Yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it. You have the evidence. That's a solid claim. Michael Kelly, do I have to wait to file secondary claim and GERD and IBS till after my PTSD claim is approved? No, you don't. You can do a secondary. If you submit an initial claim, you can do a secondary to that, right? Now, IBS, it could be considered presumptive, right? If that's the case, don't worry about it. If you submit it secondary, they're going to do a TERA exam anyways. So I wouldn't sweat that. But to answer your question, yeah. Danny Strike, wow, just apply for VRNE. See, super easy. Am I guaranteed to be approved at 90%? Nope. No, you're not. There's no guarantee for being approved for VRNE. It doesn't matter what percentage you're at. TB Nice, no you don't. I'm reading the questions in order that they come. So whenever I get to you, you'll see it. God's Messenger, I was granted a PTSD rating less than a year ago. I filed within a year supplemental claim in January with a new doctor visit with worse symptoms. Will I get a new CMP exam for increase? Maybe. Maybe you will. I don't know. Just depends on your evidence, depends on what we're talking about. All right, GG says, as an infantryman, have you ever heard of 0341s? There we go, baby. And TBIs being service connected due to being post-clock proximity, exploding close to your head. No. So, being a mortarman or artilleryman, just because you half load or pull the string has nothing to do with you getting a TBI, right? Now, can that cause tinnitus? Absolutely. How I say that, what I want you to do, GG, I have a specific video on this topic actually, okay? And it references a deployment that I was on in Syria of 2017, and we dropped an absolute megaton of 155s. A megaton, okay? I'm gonna tell you what the title is. I can't do links on the vertical form thing, but you're gonna wanna watch this because it talks about TBI or micro TBI in relation to what you're discussing, okay? And this is called, okay, the title is Secret War When People Believe Veterans Don't Deserve VA Disability and Compensation. Check that out, okay? Secret War, search the channel, you'll find it. All right, Matt Richardson, thank you for being a member. If you have the time, could you look at my Nexus and let me know, is it enough, or what else I can do? I can somehow return the favor. No need, okay? Join the Facebook group, Matt. Redact the information from your Nexus. Redact the information from your Nexus. Post it in the Facebook group. You can post it anonymously, and we can take a look. No need to return the favor. You're a member of the channel. Parker Brown says, just received 80% this morning. Congrats. I filed on September of 23. Do you know when my effective back pay date will be, and when can I expect my back pay? Should be within about 10 days, okay, give or take. And your effective date should be September 19th, 23. All right, Jason Earhart says, why, when a vet goes to the VA, do they ask if your ends has changed if they are 100%? I don't understand your question, Jason, unless I'm dumb. Why, when a vet goes to the VA, do they ask if your ends has changed if they are 100%? One, VA healthcare doesn't care about your rating, right? They don't care about your disabilities at all. They care about your healthcare. Whether that is service-connected or not, that's what they care about. So when they ask you if one of your conditions are getting better or worse, they're asking for healthcare reasons. Now, is that evidence? Yes. So be mindful of all that. Live Life says, how to prove hip pain secondary to knee pain and lumbar condition. Do I need an MRI or x-rays? Those would show the current diagnosis, okay? If you have any like serious bone deformities, like you had surgery and it healed them properly, that would be pretty solid. But as far as proving it, you're gonna need a rock star CMP exam and some solid evidence showing that your knees and your back is causing your hip condition. It's not a one-size-fits-all at all. America Awesome says, I'm 100% P&T. Congrats to you. Something different, how long does it usually take from P3 getting entered on a profile to the next step for a med? So the med board process, dude, is something completely outside of my wheelhouse, right? I know that it sucks. The med board process has changed over the years. I think it's a 6-month time frame now. Don't quote me on that. But talk to your Peblo. If you have questions about that, talk to your Peblo. Can't hear you. You gotta turn the volume up. Jay had a hardship discharge following the death of my mother and uncle. Sorry about that. That was years ago. Is that enough to get a valid nexus for depression? Yeah, absolutely, right? Something happened to you while you were in service. You were discharged for it. That's evidence there. I would absolutely submit that claim. Now, I'm going to recommend you get a current diagnosis. I assume this happened a while ago, okay? I'm going to recommend you get a current diagnosis and then submit that claim. Slicker says 80% for all of those things. Filed secondary to asthma. CMP examiner said no. It's due to migraines. Claim denied. Reclaim secondary migraine, still denied. Yeah, I mean, I would need to see your decision letter, Slicker. If you join our Facebook group, you can post your decision letter anonymously, okay? All right, Jacoby Brown says, I'm trying to get to 100%, need help, your suggestions. I mean, dude, join the Facebook group. How can I don't know anything about your situation at all. Same CMP examiner said, she said sinus issues not caused by migraines. I'm going in circles here. It depends, okay? Your sinuses, could have came from the environments of which you were deployed at. Jamander says, my CMP examiner denied my PACT Act claim for sinusitis. She didn't conduct an exam at all. Told me that if it was in my service records, it would be denied. I submitted a supplemental claim with 20 episodes documented 3 years. Your CMP examiner denied my PACT Act claim for sinusitis. There's no such thing as a PACT Act claim. Told me that if it wasn't in my service. No. So, okay. CMP examiners can't deny claims. One, they can give unfavorable opinions, okay? So did that CMP examiner give an unfavorable opinion that your sinusitis didn't come from service? Based on this comment, that answer is probably yes, right? Now, if you are diagnosed with sinusitis and you meet the PACT Act criteria, it'll be service connected, okay? And CMP examiners have nothing to say about that. Danny Strike says, wow, dude, learning so much. Glad I randomly found you. Hey, welcome to the channel. Subscribe, like my stuff. I'd appreciate it. Slicer Head says ED, which is erectile dysfunction. SMCK stated, or VA stated, it did not affect my work. Does that sound correct? No, does not. One complaint in service, finally seeking treatment 7 years later. Is that complaint enough for the in-service event? It absolutely is. I'll tell you thank you for the donation. Chaos says, I'll answer your question in a second. Due to med board, due to PTSD, can I see RSC? It depends on the circumstance of your PTSD. Just kind of say that. The answer is yes and no. Just depends. Paige. Personal story. I had a one-time complaint of migraines that was probably about 6 words long, okay? From 2012, after we came back from our Afghan pump. The only complaint I had about migraines, I claimed that years later it was service connected, right? So yes, that will count as the in-service event, and most people don't have that, so that's pretty solid. J Free, do I need medical records for a secondary claim, or is it a diagnosis and Nexus letter? Okay. For secondary claims, for any claim, you need evidence, period. Okay, you need the in-service event, the current diagnosis, and the Nexus, which will be given by the CMP examiner. That's for claims. For secondaries, it's the same thing, except for a current diagnosis, and the Nexus links the current diagnosis to a service-connected condition. So the answer is yes, you do need a diagnosis, and yes, you do need a Nexus. Do you need a private Nexus? The answer is no. All right. Can you get one? That answer is yes. Okay. Generally speaking, I don't recommend a private Nexus or a private DBQ unless you've been denied and you have the evidence. Okay, but you're a grown person. You can make that decision from yourself. All right. Derp Turkey says, do you need a mod? I need a few of them, dude. Randy Chassel says, I have seen that you had a list for secondary conditions, but I was unable to download it. Is there any way to get it? Yeah, I mean, you should go to TheCivDiv.online.com. Go to templates. You'll find the secondary list. Let me do this real quick. Go to TheCivDivOnline.com. You can find the secondary list. You got it, dude. Thank you very much, Derp. Appreciate that. Okay. You look like an audit the police kind of guy. You mean like the First Amendment auditors you see on social media? I don't think so. Okay. Jose Villa, you have diagnosis, sciatica, and other back issues, but was denied my back when I submitted. At first, I had no evidence. Now I do. It's gotten worse. So you have a current diagnosis. You still need an in-service event. So what happened in service that caused your back conditions? That's the question. Only Marines will get that, Airhead. I'm not gonna read that out loud, but that is funny. You got me on that one. Okay, we have a donation. I've skipped it. Apologize. Ben East says, appreciate the character you approach with this. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you. Okay. All right, Daniel Medivac says, I tried to activate my VA benefits and was told no because I make too much for years that I was in and made no money. Doesn't count. So like VA healthcare, depending on if you're service connected or not, that's a different story. But VA disability has zero income limitations outside of TDIU. So you can be a millionaire, okay? You can be a millionaire and have VA disability. Doesn't matter. Those two things are completely different. Dana Leach says, can you read my question, please? I have to find it, right? I'm going to because you donated, so I appreciate that. It would be much easier if you typed it out. Dana, do me a solid. Instead of me finding your question, can you just retype it? Retype it. I have the live chat up right now, and I will answer it the second I see it. Just type out your question. Okay, Jose Villa, can I pay for a one-on-one with you? Upcoming CMP exam. No, you can't. Just have questions and willing to pay for your knowledge. I can't charge you, brother. I can't do that, okay? I do one-on-ones, but it's probably not going to happen prior to your CMP exam. Katharina says, I am new. Welcome to the channel. Darren Lemon says, is IBS presumptive for OIF vets? The answer is yes. It's easy to get approved if you have serious symptoms. The answer is yes. You need a diagnosis, right? Short answer, yes. Can you submit a BDD claim while as a reservist on active duty orders? As long as you have a EAS or ETS date, yes. All right, Dana, I got you. I see it. Dana says 100% PNT and randomly have an administrative review claim I didn't initiate. Was told dental records came in a medical record. Will this affect my rating? I would just call the VA, ask them what's happening. This is for a dental condition. I have no idea. I absolutely need more information on that. Feel free to join our Facebook group and post, give us some context, what's going on, and we can absolutely give you a very, very solid answer. I feel like I owe you an answer to that now, but all right. Brandon Biggs says, same injury has gotten worse. How do I go about getting my percentage upped? So you would file for an increase as long as that disability would meet the higher rating criteria, and you can look that up for 30 ACFR. Had CMP today. The examiner asked me very little questions, but I turned in so much evidence pertaining to my disability, along with personal statements for that 3 disability increase. Should I worry? No, you shouldn't worry. Chris Supertramp. Hi, Clay. Filed for sleep conditions secondary to PTSD, not just apnea itself. My sleep doctor provided a Nexus letter and 23 pages of research to go with it. Finger crossed. All right, it sounds like you have the evidence. Awesome. G55, I got it. All right, Jamander says, I'll try again in English. My PACT Act claim for sinusitis was denied. I filed a submittal that shows 20 episodes in the last 3 years. Thoughts and comments? Yeah, so you obviously have evidence of a current diagnosis. Okay, something's going on there. That's good. Which is one of 3 things that you need. So you have a current diagnosis. What you still need is an in-service event, and then obviously the Nexus. And if you don't have the in-service event, it's going to be difficult to get the Nexus. I'm going to assume you don't meet the criteria for PACT Act, but if you do, all right, if you do for Gulf War era and you have a current diagnosis, it'll be approved. Gustavo says, I'm 100% P&T. Should I submit my sleep apnea? No, I wouldn't recommend it personally. I assume that would be secondary. You just don't want to mess with that. All right, Darren, thank you for the donation. I definitely appreciate it. Thanks, great channel. Trying for TDIU, currently 90 with 70% PTSD. Chances with legal help. I assume you have an attorney because you mentioned that. If that's the case, you're probably in good hands, okay? I also assume that you've been denied. Okay. Papa Bear says, can service-connected PTSD controlled with meds be reduced because medication helps you? No. So you'll see the criteria, right? So medication doesn't, it makes it more manageable, right? I have a video on how to speak to your healthcare when it comes to disability evidence. And it kind of goes like this, right? Because you're on medication, you're not healed. It doesn't heal you. It might suppress certain things. It doesn't heal you. You're still depressed. You still have episodes. You still do this, that. You still do all these things. Does it help you manage it? Yes. In that instance, no. Ben, I'm working on putting my migraine claim together, secondary to PTSD, but I also have sleep apnea and GERD. Can I claim it secondary to more than one thing? Yeah, so you're going to do sleep apnea secondary to PTSD, and the VA is going to look at all the correlating factors, and both of those would be part of it. Jay Brakefield says, when the revised PTSD ratings are in place, will the most severe PTSD be bumped if you're at 100% P&T? No. So when the changes take effect, nothing's going to happen automatically, right? You're not going to be reduced. You're not going to be reduced. I'm going to say that again. You're not going to be reduced. But if you want to increase, you're going to have to prompt the VA for the increase, okay? Now, you said you're already 100% P&T. So if you are, I probably wouldn't recommend that unless it would open up the road to more benefits, right? Like SMCs, adaptive home stuff, things like that. Mr. Mont says, had my tinnitus CMP first Monday of the month and just had my mental health CMP this past Tuesday. Only thing left now is cervical strain exam, not scheduled yet. How long examiners have to upload paperwork? About 30 days. About 30 days. Jerry Incarnation, at 5 o'clock, I'm going to hop off of the live, but I'll kind of do a rapid fire here real quick. I posted a video on the VA Disability Report today. You're going to want to check that out for 2024. And then on Veterans Daily, which is myself and Veterans Info Tap joint channel, we have another video coming out at 5. NSG Tip says, what's going on, man? Can you give me an example of how a combined mental health rating looks on paper? Example, if I'm diagnosed with ADHD, anxiety, insomnia, what would that look like? It would look like chronic adjustment disorder, right? It would look whatever your actual diagnosis is, and then your rating. It doesn't really matter what it says, but it'll all be rated under the same thing. So it'll be on the general rating schedule for mental health. If you Google mental health 38 CFR ECFR, I'll type that in the chat for you. Mental health 38 CFR ECFR. If you Google that, you'll see the general rating schedule for mental health, and that's exactly what it would look like. Have sleep apnea as direct review with the BVA over 1,000 days. Yeah, that sucks. Still waiting for a judge to review. Is it normal? Yep. Also, if the change for OSA goes, will I be grandfathered in? Yep. Print Arthur. Hi, does one claiming disability affect their reenlistment to the military? Nope. Dr. Alex Britz just received 90%. Can I receive unemployability? Maybe. Jay Free, do I need medical records for a secondary claim, or is it a diagnosis and Nexus letter? We answered that one. Ian, having some issues, deployment-related joint problems, migraines, acknowledged by the VA but denied service connection. My NCO from that deployment wrote a letter in support of my statement, and CMP acknowledged issues, wondering how long supplemental evidence usually makes things move. No one on this planet, not a single person, can give you an accurate timeline, okay, as to how long your claim is going to take. No one. Average Joe, can I get information for hypothyroid? Yeah, I mean, what information do you want? For service connection, you have to have an in-service event, a current diagnosis, and a Nexus. For how it's rated, I will just Google hypothyroid, 30 CFR, ECFR, Control F, hypo, you'll find it. Derek Thomas says, do you know anything about vet tech for technical schooling? Yeah, you can absolutely take advantage of the benefit. Apply for it. Hugh, how long does it generally take VA to make decision for mental health claims? No one knows. The mental health claims are irrelevant, but no one can tell you the timeline for your claim. No one. Sid the Squid, how can I get ship records from a ship that has been decommissioned and there was an explosion? Probably from Google. 5 Star Logistics LLC, what up? Why is the VA so slow when it comes to rating claims? It's the nature of the beast. I don't know. I received a letter in the mail from the VA apologizing for the delay and that they were still processing my claim for increase. Yeah, they're working on it. Nate says, I was granted 0% for migraines based on, okay, I recently have realized my constant headaches as well as severity levels meet the definition of migraines. Should I need to apply for an upgrade? Yeah, you do. So I have you already service connected 0%. A 0% rating for migraines is very, very common. I have an awesome video on migraine evidence going from 0 to 50. You're going to want to look that up. The easiest way to find it is just go to CivDivOnline.com. You'll find it there. Ashen Crow says, are CTs and MRIs in your VA record good evidence? Anything in your VA record is good evidence, assuming that evidence doesn't harm your claim. PSI bound. MedBoard was 6-month process in 2011. Yep, 6 months. I recommend reaching out 1 month. Oh yeah, awesome. Solid advice on that. Ray Kim, I filed for headaches back in 2019, was denied. Do I need to be more specific, i.e. migraines or tension headaches? Ray, 1, what was your in-service event? Do you have it? 2, do you have the current diagnosis? 3, there's obviously no Nexus, so why were you denied? It'll say in your decision letter. Feel free to join our Facebook group. Redact your decision letter, okay? For migraines, redact it, post anonymously, and we can give you advice. There's no way anyone in this world can give advice on an appeal without looking at the decision letter. Okay, let me find another question here. Take off your cap. Nope. If you look at the beginning of the stream, the very, very beginning of the stream, I forgot to put my hat on, so you can see my hair. All right, do I need to submit medical records for claims I didn't file for increase? I submitted records for all my disabilities and I'm seeking care for, including the things I'm looking at to increase. If you have medical evidence that shows cause for the increase, I would absolutely submit them, okay? It's not required if it's VA records at all. Now, if it's private records, I would absolutely submit those. Hugh, how long generally does it take VA to make a decision on mental health? Wait, answer that. I have bladder cancer and received 100% from the VA, but it said temporary. Yeah, cancers are temporary. Absolutely. All right, we got some donations. Appreciate it. All right, Chris says, my dad is retired Army. He was a Pershing missile warrant officer. He has had 2 bouts with skin cancer since he retired. I said he should try for service connection because the Pershing was nuclear. Thoughts? If there's evidence indicating that the skin condition came from service, absolutely. And that goes for any claim, okay? Any claim. Ben, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Ben says, can I deny injections by VHA for migraines with a religious exemption? You can deny healthcare for any reason, not just religious. If you just say no, they say why? I don't want it. You know, be transparent with your healthcare provider. I'll tell you this. I have vertigo, and that sucks. And physical therapy for vertigo basically makes you nauseous. But that's what they want to do. And I was like, I'm not doing that, right? Because when I get nauseous, my entire day, maybe 2 days, it's just completely ruined. It's 100% ruined. There's nothing you can do about it. So I denied that, right? And it has no bearing on your claims at all. That's healthcare stuff. Healthcare is healthcare. Disability is disability. TPR says 2016 on active duty I complained of randomly falling asleep, snoring, etc. Sleep study shows sleep apnea, ETS, VA service connected apnea. Before CMP this year, VA redid sleep study, diagnosed narcolepsy, service connected. I don't know what your question is, but you are service connected for sleep apnea. That's awesome. If you have other disabilities, okay, that are not respiratory conditions, like asthma and COPD, right now you're talking about sleep disorders, yes, you can file that if you want. Randy says, active duty for 4 years with cervical nerve damage and GERD. RSV of reserve for 7 years, activated on Title 10 in 21, and no pre-mo physical. Coming off Title 10 next month, and my claim is in PDA with minimal. Yeah, I don't know what your question is. Do you think that holds a lot of weight against me? No, I think if you have evidence from your active duty time, which was what, the last 3 years, it's solid. Danny says, oh, I'll answer this last question, then I'm going to get off here. Danny Strike says, what would you recommend me to do to try to get 100%? I'm 90%, but I have symptoms that I have. You know what? I'll tell you this, Danny. I'm going to go to my Facebook, this Veteran Benefits Facebook group. It's the TheCivDiv Facebook group. I'm going to show you the pinned post, and this is how you get help on your claims, okay? This is how you get help on your claims, and here it is. It's going to look like that, okay? That's it. You're going to scroll down to this featured post right here. The featured post, you're going to want to answer these 5 questions, all right? And there's an example of how you can answer that. The 5 questions are, what are you service connected for, and what are the percentages of each? What have you been denied? Your years of service, deployments, and then any current claims. Answer those 5 questions in a list format, so that way we can get a full picture of what you have going on. And then from there, then we can start a conversation as to what it looks like to be service connected, okay? Or to maximize your VA benefits. Other than that, if you came to the stream, thank you very much. I appreciate it. That's all I got.